The park was quiet, almost too quiet for a Friday evening. Amber walked along the winding path, her headphones tucked in, a soft playlist carrying her thoughts somewhere far away. Street lamps flickered overhead, casting long shadows on the damp pavement. She always loved this time of day, when the world felt suspended between day and night. But tonight, something felt off. She slowed her pace, tugging her coat a little tighter around her shoulders. She could feel it before she saw it, a presence, a fleeting sense that someone was walking just behind her, matching her steps, disappearing whenever she dared to glance back. Amber shook her head, trying to dismiss the feeling. She had walked this route countless times after work. Empty benches, rustling trees, the faint smell of wet leaves. It was all normal. Yet her gut refused to settle. Her heart beat a little faster, each step echoing in rhythm with her rising unease. She reached the small wooden bridge over the creek. The water below mirrored the dim glow of the lampposts. A soft breeze carried the whisper of leaves brushing together. Amber paused, turning quickly, but the path behind her was empty. "Just me," she whispered to herself, forcing a laugh she didn't feel. Yet the feeling lingered. She could swear she heard the faintest shuffle, a step that wasn't hers. She told herself it was the wind or perhaps some late jogger. Still, the hair on her arms stood on end. She continued walking, more briskly now, but careful not to let panic overtake her. Every few steps she glanced back. Shadows seemed to shift unnaturally, clinging just out of sight. The park, usually so welcoming, now felt like a stage for something unseen, something quiet, yet deliberate. Amber's phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out, hoping to distract herself with a message from her friend, maybe a silly meme or a reminder about their weekend plans. Instead, it was a notification from an unknown number. "You're not alone." Her stomach flipped. Her first thought was a prank, but the timing was uncanny. She checked around her. No one. Not a single passerby, not even the sound of distant traffic. Just her, and something, or someone, that shouldn't have been there. Her instincts told her to run, but her curiosity rooted her to the spot. She whispered into the empty air, "Who's there?" The wind shifted, carrying her words across the trees, but no answer came. Only silence. The silence that seemed too heavy, almost tangible. Amber took another step forward, forcing her legs to move. She tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was her imagination. Stress from work, a long week, a sleepless night. She was letting her mind play tricks on her. And yet, the prickle at the back of her neck refused to leave. Her thoughts wandered to her brother's warning. "Don't walk alone after dark," he'd said just last week. She had laughed, brushing it off as overprotective nonsense. But now, alone under the dim streetlights, she realized how right he might have been. The path curved around a cluster of maple trees, their branches weaving together like fingers of a giant hand. Amber's heart leapt as she felt that strange presence again, close now, almost at her shoulder. She spun around, fully expecting to confront someone, but the space behind her was empty. She stood frozen, listening. The only sound was the soft murmur of the creek and her own uneven breathing. Her mind raced. Was she imagining it, or was someone really following her? She shook her head, frustrated with herself. She needed to get home, fast. As she picked up her pace, the faint shuffle returned, just beyond the reach of her vision. Amber's phone buzzed again. Another unknown message. "Keep going. Don't stop." Her pulse spiked. She felt torn between fear and a strange, inexplicable fascination. Who was sending these messages? How could someone be here, and yet nowhere to be seen? Her steps quickened, the park stretching endlessly ahead. The bridge ahead seemed longer than usual. Shadows danced in the corners of her eyes, taunting her. She felt it again, a brush of air, the faintest whisper, and then nothing. Alone, and yet not. Her mind teetered on the edge of disbelief and terror. As she reached the other side of the bridge, a flicker of movement caught her eye. She froze. The path was empty, but the feeling persisted, strong and unnerving, like a heartbeat in the dark. Amber's lips parted in a whisper, almost a plea. Who's there? No answer. If you're enjoying this story so far, please like the video and subscribe for more heartfelt tales. The chill in her bones didn't fade. Something or someone was still there, watching, waiting. Amber's steps echoed louder than usual on the path, each one a small drumbeat of unease. The park seemed endless in the dim light, the trees looming like silent spectators. Her mind raced, replaying the strange messages on her phone. Who could it be, and why? She tried to convince herself it was just a prankster, someone hiding behind a tree or waiting for a reaction. But the messages had felt too precise, too personal. She hadn't shared her route with anyone, not her friends, not her coworkers, and yet someone knew exactly where she was. As she neared the old fountain at the center of the park, the air felt heavier, as if it was holding its breath. Amber paused, resting a hand on the cold stone rim. The water reflected the faint glow of the lampposts, shimmering with ripples. She stared into it, trying to gather herself. Her phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. You're closer than you think. Her pulse quickened. She glanced around, scanning the empty benches, the shadows between the trees. She felt a sudden chill, a prickling sensation running down her spine. The world felt distorted, like something just out of her vision was shifting constantly, never fully revealed. Amber's fingers tightened around her coat. She had to keep moving, had to get out of the park. But the path to the exit seemed to stretch longer, winding farther than it had before. Every shadow looked like a person. Every rustling leaf sounded like a step following hers. A flicker of movement caught her eye near the far end of the fountain. She froze, squinting into the shadows. Nothing, just the reflection of the lamplight on the water. Still, the feeling persisted, a presence, silent and patient, lurking just beyond sight. Amber's thoughts drifted to her late-night walks with her best friend Sarah, how they used to laugh under the stars, sharing secrets without fear. She missed that sense of safety. Now, alone, every corner of the park seemed threatening. She hugged her coat tighter, feeling small and exposed. She considered calling someone, anyone. Her hands shook as she dialed her brother's number. It went straight to voicemail. She cursed under her breath. Of course, he was out of town for the weekend. A sudden rustle of leaves made her spin. The path behind her was still empty, but the sound had been unmistakable. Her heartbeat pounded in her ears. She tried to tell herself it was nothing, but every instinct screamed otherwise. Amber quickened her pace, taking careful steps but refusing to run. Running might provoke whoever or whatever was there. Her mind raced with possibilities, each one more unsettling than the last. Could someone have been following her the whole way from the street? Had they been hiding in the shadows, unseen until now? The bridge loomed ahead again, its wooden boards glinting in the lamplight. She had crossed it earlier, but now it felt like a threshold into something unknown. Every step creaked under her weight, echoing across the silent water. Suddenly, a soft whisper brushed her ear. Amber. Her blood ran cold. She spun around violently, but the path behind her remained empty. Panic clawed at her chest, and for a moment she thought she might scream. But no sound came, swallowed by the night. She sank onto a bench, gasping for breath, trying to make sense of the impossible. The messages, the footsteps, the whispers, all of it defied logic. She had never felt fear like this, not even during the storm that had knocked out power for 3 days last winter. Her phone buzzed again. Another message. Don't look back. Just follow the path. Amber froze, torn between fear and a desperate need to obey. She slowly stood, her legs trembling, and followed the path as instructed. Every step felt surreal, as if she were moving through a dream she couldn't wake from. The park seemed to twist around her. Familiar benches and trees appeared in strange places. The exit she thought she knew was nowhere in sight. She felt a wave of disorientation, her sense of direction slipping. And then she saw it, a shadow moving just beyond the trees. Not quite a person, not quite nothing. A figure that seemed to flicker, half in the light, half swallowed by darkness. Amber's breath caught in her throat. It didn't move closer, yet the presence was undeniable. She felt its eyes, unseen but piercing, following her every motion. Her chest tightened, and a lump formed in her throat. Fear mingled with a strange fascination, a pull she couldn't explain. Amber's phone buzzed one final time that night. You're ready to see the truth. Her hand shook as she lowered the phone. The shadow remained, silent, patient, as if waiting for her next move. She felt small in the vastness of the park, caught between reality and something she couldn't understand. And in that moment, she realized she wasn't imagining it. Whatever was following her, it had been there the whole time, watching, waiting. Would she dare take another step? Or was she about to uncover something she couldn't unsee? Amber's legs felt like lead as she moved forward. The park around her seemed to stretch and twist with every step, as if reality itself was bending. The shadow lingered just at the edge of her vision, never close enough to see clearly, yet never far enough to feel safe. She kept her phone clutched in one hand, the screen a cold, flickering glow in the dark. The last message still burned in her mind. You're ready to see the truth. What truth? She had no idea, but her gut told her she was about to find out, whether she wanted to or not. The path curved again, leading her toward a small clearing she hadn't noticed before. A single bench sat in the center, under a lamppost whose light flickered like a heartbeat. Amber approached slowly, every nerve on edge. The shadow seemed to hesitate there, waiting. She stopped a few feet away, hesitant to sit, but as her eyes adjusted, she noticed something strange. Etched into the backrest of the bench were words, faint and nearly erased by time. Listen to the echoes. Amber's heart pounded. Echoes? She whispered aloud. The word felt heavy, like it carried meanings she couldn't yet grasp. The shadow shifted at the edge of her vision, almost like it acknowledged her question, yet it offered no answer. Her phone buzzed once more. Another message. Sit. Listen. Don't be afraid. Against every instinct screaming at her to flee, Amber sank onto the bench. The wood was cold beneath her palms, and the park's usual night sounds seemed to fade into silence. A strange calm settled over her, one that contrasted sharply with the fear still gnawing at her stomach. Then she heard it. A faint, melodic whisper carried by the wind. At first, she thought it was the rustling of the trees, but the sound had words, a voice, soft and distant, echoing in her mind rather than her ears. Amber, follow the echoes. Her pulse quickened. She wanted to turn and run, but her curiosity rooted her in place. Every instinct told her this was dangerous, yet some invisible force compelled her to listen. She could feel the shadow's presence behind her, patient, almost protective now, as if guiding her towards something she needed to see. Amber's gaze swept the clearing, trying to make sense of the sensation that had her heart racing. The words on the bench glowed faintly under the lamplight, though she knew it was impossible. Her fingers brushed over them, tracing the letters. Listen to the echoes. A chill ran down her spine as she realized the echoes weren't coming from the park. They were inside her head, carried on the wind, yet intertwined with her thoughts. Whispers of memories she hadn't fully acknowledged, faces she had nearly forgotten, moments she had buried. Her thoughts flickered to her childhood, to the attic of her parents' old house. She remembered a small music box, one that had stopped playing long ago. A lullaby she barely remembered, yet now hummed softly in her mind. Amber, follow the echoes. The shadow shifted closer, though still distant, like a presence just behind the veil of reality. Amber didn't feel threatened. For the first time that evening, she felt a strange reassurance. This figure, whatever it was, wasn't here to harm her. It was waiting for her to understand. A faint breeze brushed her cheek, carrying more whispers. They seemed to form a story, a memory she had long avoided, a promise she had made to herself, forgotten in the rush of everyday life. Amber's eyes widened as she realized the truth hidden within the echoes. Her childhood friend, Michael, had disappeared from her life years ago. He had been her closest confidant, someone who had shared dreams and fears under these very trees. But after a sudden argument, they drifted apart, and she had carried the guilt of their silence ever since. The shadow seemed to respond to her recognition, moving ever so slightly, like a living reminder of the connection she had almost lost. Amber felt tears prick her eyes. The echoes weren't threats, they were memories, whispers of unresolved feelings, urging her to confront them. Face what you left behind. Amber exhaled, realizing that everything, the messages, the shadow, the whispers, had been leading her to this moment. The fear that had gripped her for hours was now tempered with understanding. The park, the darkness, even the presence that had haunted her steps had a purpose she was finally beginning to grasp. But just as relief began to settle, she sensed a new movement, not from behind, but ahead. A soft glow shimmered through the trees, faint but unmistakable. The shadow seemed to step aside, gesturing silently for her to continue. Amber's heart raced, a mixture of fear and anticipation. Whatever lay ahead promised answers, but also demanded courage she wasn't sure she had. She rose slowly, every sense alert, and stepped toward the light, leaving the bench and the echoes of her past behind. The path ahead promised revelation, but also the unknown. Would you dare to step forward into what awaited her? Amber's footsteps were quiet against the damp path, but every sound in the park seemed louder than before. The soft glow ahead flickered like a lantern in the mist. Her breath came in short bursts as she approached, the shadow lingering silently just beyond her peripheral vision. The clearing opened up before her. The glow came from an old gazebo, almost hidden by overgrown vines. Its wood was weathered, but the lantern inside burned steadily, casting warm, golden light across the ground. Amber felt her chest tighten. Something about the scene felt familiar, yet she couldn't place it. The whispers returned, gentle but persistent, as if urging her forward. Amber, remember. Her mind raced. The echoes from the bench, the messages on her phone, the shadow following her. all had been guiding her here. But for what purpose? She stepped closer, her hands trembling, the glow from the lantern reflecting in her wide eyes. Inside the gazebo lay a small, intricately carved box. Amber knelt beside it, her fingers hovering above the lid. The whispers swirled around her, a chorus of half-remembered moments from her past. Her childhood laughter with Michael, secrets shared under starlit skies, promises made and broken, all of it resurfacing with startling clarity. A gentle breeze carried another message, almost like a sigh from the past. Open it. Amber's fingers brushed the box's surface. She hesitated, heart pounding. She had been chased by shadows, haunted by messages, and guided by whispers all night. Everything had led to this moment. Slowly, she lifted the lid. Inside, she found a folded piece of paper, yellowed with age. Her name was written across it in familiar handwriting. Amber's hands shook as she unfolded it, revealing words that made her chest ache. "I'm sorry, Amber. I never meant to disappear. I hope you find me again." Tears blurred her vision. Michael! He had reached out in some way she couldn't understand, leaving a message hidden in time and space. The shadow shifted closer, and for the first time she saw it clearly, a silhouette, soft and human, almost shimmering in the golden light. It wasn't threatening, it was waiting, patient and calm, like a guardian of memories. Amber whispered his name, half in disbelief. "Michael?" No answer came, only the comforting presence of the shadow. She felt a strange warmth, a connection she hadn't realized she was missing. The echoes of their shared past surrounded her, filling the gazebo like a soft, enveloping hug. She realized then that the messages, the shadow, the whispers, they were all parts of a journey, a path to reconciliation. She had been running from her guilt, from the unresolved fragments of her friendship, and now, here, guided by unseen hands, she was finally confronting them. The wind shifted, carrying a final whisper. "He's here. Not in the way you remember, but he's with you." Amber's tears fell freely. She understood now. Michael's disappearance hadn't been her fault. Life had pulled them apart, but their bond had never truly vanished. The shadow, the park, the glowing lantern, it had been a bridge back to what she had lost and what she could still cherish. Her phone buzzed one last time, a soft, gentle chime. Another message. "Thank you for listening." Amber smiled through her tears, a mix of relief and longing filling her chest. She folded the note carefully and tucked it into her coat pocket. The shadow lingered for a moment longer, then began to fade, dissipating into the soft glow of the lantern and the night air. She stepped out of the gazebo, feeling lighter than she had in years. The park no longer felt threatening or strange. The shadows were just shadows. The whispers, now memories she could carry with her instead of fears she had to face alone. Amber took a deep breath, the crisp night air filling her lungs. She realized that sometimes the echoes we fear the most are the ones we need to hear. And tonight, the hidden echoes had led her to peace, to understanding, and to the memory of someone she had loved deeply. But just as she turned toward the path leading home, her eyes caught another flicker, this time near the far edge of the park. A movement, subtle but deliberate, like the beginning of something new. Her heart skipped a beat. She had thought the journey was over, but maybe the echoes weren't finished with her yet. Amber's breath caught as she saw the flicker at the edge of the park. She froze, unsure if it was another shadow or simply her imagination. But the lingering warmth in her chest, the sense of closure from the gazebo, gave her courage. Whatever it was, she would face it. She stepped carefully toward the movement. The park was quiet again, the familiar rustle of leaves and distant hum of traffic grounding her. She scanned the shadows, searching for a sign, a hint of what awaited her. Her pulse raced, but this time not from fear, anticipation. And then she saw it, a figure, familiar yet changed, standing near the edge of the trees. Her heart leapt. It wasn't a shadow this time, not a flicker of light or an echo. It was real, or at least it felt real. She stepped closer, hesitant, each footfall measured and deliberate. The figure moved slightly, revealing itself in the glow of a distant lamppost. Amber's breath caught in her throat. It was Michael, or someone resembling him, almost ethereal, like a memory come to life. The presence felt calm, comforting, and impossibly gentle. She whispered his name, uncertain if it would carry across the distance. "Michael?" The figure nodded slightly, acknowledging her, yet there was no voice, only understanding, the kind that transcends words. Amber realized that the echoes, the messages, the whispers, the shadow guiding her, had all been preparing her for this moment, a meeting not of the present, but of memory, feeling, and reconciliation. She approached slowly, heart racing, every step a mixture of awe and reverence. The figure stayed still, letting her come closer, letting her confront the past she had tucked away. Amber felt tears prick her eyes, not from fear, but from relief, from recognition, from the profound sense of something lost being gently returned. "I've missed you. I've carried so much guilt." The figure tilted its head, a gesture that seemed to say, "I know, and it's okay." Amber realized then that the park, the shadow, the glowing lantern, and the hidden messages had been a bridge not to the past itself, but to understanding and peace. She hadn't been followed by something sinister. She had been guided by the echoes of her own heart, by memories asking to be acknowledged. She felt a soft breeze, as if the night itself exhaled around her. The figure began to fade, but not completely, leaving behind a gentle warmth in the cool air. Amber smiled through tears, feeling lighter than she had in years. She understood now. She didn't need to see Michael to know he was part of her story. The echoes had shown her what mattered. As she walked toward the park exit, the shadows seemed ordinary again, the whispers gone, replaced by the soft sounds of nighttime life. Amber's steps were confident now, calm, filled with a sense of closure and quiet joy. She had faced the fear, the unknown, and had discovered something far more profound, the strength to reconcile with the past. At the park gate, she paused one last time, looking back over the paths she had walked. The night seemed almost to shimmer, holding its secrets but now offering her a gift, the knowledge that some mysteries guide you, not to frighten, but to heal. Amber smiled, her chest warm and her heart unburdened. She stepped into the quiet streets beyond the park, the night wrapping around her like a gentle promise. And for the first time in a long while, she felt completely, utterly at peace. Yet, in the soft rustle of leaves behind her, she sensed the faintest echo, reminding her that life, like the park, always held a hint of mystery. Some echoes fade, others remain, guiding us quietly toward understanding, love, and the moments that truly shape us. Amber walked home beneath the star-lit sky, the hidden echoes of the night lingering softly in her mind, a story she would carry forever.